The Odyssey, one of the most epic adventures ever written, tells the story of the hero Odysseus, king of Ithaca, on his long and perilous journey home after the Trojan War. For 10 years, he faces mythical creatures, capricious gods, impossible obstacles, and epic trials, all while trying to reunite with his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus. But Hollywood being Hollywood, in 2026 they could have knocked it out of the park and hit a home run that would have made them millions, and instead they apparently choose one and again the path of DI and race swapping. Hello dear viewers and welcome back. My name is Amilcar and I am a sci-fi and dark fantasy author, and this is 4 Cents. Okay, first of all, I want to explain a bit more details what the Odyssey is, why it's so important, and why some of Nolan's possible casting choices could not only disappoint many fans, but could also be seen as an insult to Greece, its women, and its culture. Homer is the legendary Greek poet credited with composing the two great epics of ancient Greece, the Iliad and the Odyssey. Although almost nothing is known for certain about his life, it is believed he lived in the 8th century BC, and his works were transmitted orally for generations before being written down. So, Homer is not only one of the most important poets in history, but his stories became the foundation of Western culture. The Odyssey, his most famous work alongside the Iliad, narrates the long and tortuous return home of the hero Odysseus after the Trojan War. For 10 years, the cunning king of Ithaca faces legendary monsters, storms sent by the gods, deadly temptations, and trials that challenge both his strength and his intelligence, while his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus wait for him in Ithaca, resisting the siege of the suitors. It is an epic tale about cunning, loyalty, revenge, and the human desire to return home. For his part, Christopher Nolan, an acclaimed director known for films such as the Dark Knight trilogy, Interstellar, Memento, Oppenheimer, and Inception, among others, has decided to bring this epic to the big screen. From the very beginning, there were criticisms about the armor design, which I personally consider cherry-picking. Yes, it did resemble Batman's armor to some extent, but we also have to keep in mind that this is an action-adventure film, so the costumes need to be more striking than strictly functional. However, that is not what has caused the biggest uproar. The real point of contention is the casting. As I said at the beginning, Hollywood being Hollywood puts DI and inclusion ahead of narrative, story, and coherence. There is a large number of actors of color in this film, and while many will have secondary roles, there is one in particular that has everyone worried and uncomfortable. And no, I'm not referring to Zendaya as Athena. After all, gods could take any form. But one of the most important characters in the story, Helen of Troy, possibly played by Lupita Nyong'o. Now, I'm gonna give you a brief explanation of who Helen of Troy was so you could understand this problematic. She was Helen of Sparta, considered the most beautiful woman in the world in Greek mythology. Daughter of Zeus and Leda, her beauty awakened desire and envy among mortals and immortals alike. Her elopement with Paris sparked the Trojan War. In the Odyssey, her figure remains central. the ultimate symbol of beauty, passion, and the devastating consequences of desire. And I understand. Some of you may be wondering, why does it bother you that a woman of color is considered the most beautiful woman in the world? And I'm gonna tell you this. The answer is simple. Because in Homer's work, Helen wasn't just a beautiful woman. No. She was the supreme ideal of Greek beauty. She represented the highest standards of Greek womanhood. Fair skin, golden hair, fine features, and Mediterranean elegance. She was the perfect embodiment of that Hellenic beauty that could drive kings mad and launch 1,000 ships. So, after this explanation, what should we think? That Nolan, a director who doesn't make random choices in any details of his films, he cast a woman of color as Helen because he's saying that the ideal Greek beauty is inferior to that of a woman of color? Yeah, I know, it sounds like I'm reading between the lines. But this is the problem. This casting decision came from the same person who said that the characters from Homer are the original superheroes, and that Homer is the Marvel of its day. And this is the thing, the original superheroes. In that context, Batman was created under the premise that he is born from humanity's obsession with control, justice, and fear in a world where systems doesn't work. And that's exactly what Nolan captured in his trilogy. It means he deeply understood the background, the nature, and the original author's intention when creating that superhero. So, in that context, choosing Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy doesn't seem like an innocent mistake. I have to assume it's intentional. Look, I'll be honest with you. Nolan is one of my favorite directors, and I am not someone who idolizes people. But if it's confirmed that Lupita Nyong'o is playing Helen of Troy, I'll watch the movie mostly to analyze it, even though it will be very hard for me to be objective. I'm gonna be honest. Because I'm tired, I'm really tired of race swapping and gender swapping. And this is the thing. The same way I don't want a white Shaka Zulu, I don't want a black Helen of Troy. Just as I don't want an Asian Malcolm X doing flying kicks or an African American Snape with dreadlocks. It's as simple as that. And I must conclude that this casting of Helen of Troy is a point of no return for many fans. The movie promised to be a great modern epic, especially given Nolan's reputation and his intention to respect the original non-linear structure of Homer. It had everything, absolutely everything, to be exceptional, but only if it also respects the visual and representative canons of the Greek culture that created it. In conclusion, we can only wait for the full official casting announcement to find out whether this was all misleading publicity or if one of the greatest epics of all time will end up sinking at the box office like the Titanic. So, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And that is for today's video. If you enjoyed the analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with other sci-fi and fantasy fans. I love to read your opinions in the comments. Have you watched the trailer? What do you think of the casting? Would you like to see this version of the Odyssey? Once again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Amilcar and I'll see you in the next 4 Cents video. Bye bye.